So
Yeah.
I have a question. Like,
Sure.
What's the typical way most people get into cycling? They like to work, or?
It was really good this year. Bike to work was really good. We had some vast numbers, and I'm not an encyclopedia of that kind of nonsense, but the numbers I know were much larger over the last year. A lot of people do that, and one of my little goals, one of my many crusades, is to have people change from bike to work week to bike to work month, bike to work year, and I've met people who, again, just because my mug's been out there on various things, who will come up and say, hey, I started riding my bike to work, and that was in, what was it, May, bike to work week? And here it is June, and I'm still doing it, and I feel so much better. So that's how a lot of people do it. It all depends on their age. I think the best time to start anything is when you're young, unless it's something you should start when you're old. But cycling isn't just an avocation or a preference. It really can become a lifestyle, and whether it's injury. There's one guy who is mopping up in 50 plus, Tom Eaton, who was a former Mr. Iowa guy, and you need, your body changes as you cycle more, and your muscles adapt, and all these things happen that make you feel better and different and more acclimated to cycling. A lot of people get in, to bike to work week, and the more the better. A lot of people get into it from physical injury or trauma and rehab and stuff like that. And a lot of people are getting into it now because they just can't afford to drive. I think it's great. It kills me to pay $4 a gallon, but every time I do it, this is good, because the more it hurts at the pump, the less it's going to hurt when you grab your bike and ride. And it forces people to think about, okay, well, I need to consolidate my rides. And I listened to I'm not getting into politics, but I heard Bush this morning give this local economic question and answer thing. And he wouldn't come out and say, people, you got to make it hurt. You got to start conserving. You got to, no, Americans are smart. They'll figure it out. Sure as hell haven't. So something's got to happen to make people realize that we got to change something. Now I'm on the soapbox, but I don't care. You asked the question, by the way. It's a wonderful question. You've got to make changes, and whether it's a matter of riding your bike to work, and I saw 3 bikes out. Are there other bike racks around? I recognize the Beyond for the other dirty one. But so there's that, and there's also family thing, and I love seeing families out riding. I don't care whether they're on the sidewalk, in the streets, helmets or not. I don't care, But it's nice to see that, because that's something you can do. And once you get over the initial outlay for the bikes, and like I say, they collect, you can get them cheap, you can do it, and all it costs is air and leg power. So that's another thing to do. So there's all sorts of ways you can get into it. Some people get into it just by coming to watch races, the floods have screwed things up. There's ordinarily a lot of really good bike races around Des Moines, and it's all levels. You've got little kids. There's been a big push the last couple of years to incorporate women into racing. You guys ought to race, by the way. And the numbers are increasing, and you come out and you realize, they're not that special. They just do it more, and that's all it is. It's just these are people who really like riding bikes, and so they just get into it. Wow, we have a special visitor. Is there something I can do for you?
What is all this talk about bikes? I was here to see George Carlin.
Because there's 7 words that I can't use. Well, I know them, but I can't say them. Mr. Campion. Ryan Yoles. So thank you. There's a number of ways you can get into it, and so there's racing around. That's a good way.
No, that's good.
But if you guys missed it, there's a story behind it. We won't get into it right now, but I think we just made some money on that. And if not, we'll have just that little snippet. We'll link it, and everybody will know that Brian didn't have it. So you can get into cycling all sorts of different ways. When, where, how to ride your bike. Those are some of the things we can talk about. And an interesting battle that I'm not convinced it's over is with the Dallas County Board of Supervisors, and for that matter, every Board of Supervisors across the state, that they're trying to impose restrictions on groups of bikes. Like if we wanted to go out and ride as a part of our little thing, and Dallas County had their way, we would all have to sign waivers, we'd have to get a permit, we would have to have at least $1 million liability insurance coverage, and it wouldn't do what they wanted it to do. Okay, so while we're out there at this meeting, and I keep jumping up on that soapbox, but they were talking about how, yeah, we're bike friendly, we've got a great trail system, and blah, 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 but what they were ignoring or not aware that there's a connection there is that their ordinance doesn't cover trails, it covers roads. And so there's a number of ways and places to ride your bike. There's bike trails, there's sidewalks, there's city streets, there's county highways, there's state highways, there's all sorts of things. And as far as I'm concerned, they're all wonderful. There's gravel roads. People don't ride gravel roads enough. And I grew up in Nevada, and I lived on the edge of town. And only recently, as far as I know, were the little streets around our house paved. I love riding gravel roads, and we're plotting our little bike ride out to Ragbri, and there's a stretch between Audubon and Harlan where I think we're going to get maybe 15, 20 miles of gravel. I'm so excited about it. And I love riding with people with their nice little snazzy race bikes. Gravel road, you know. I did that one night with JJ. It was wonderful, you know. You know where you go? Yeah. We keep going this way, and all of a sudden it's gravel. And I can just hear him back there. You know? It's wonderful. And there was a reason for that. But I got JJ to do about 6 miles of gravel last night. He was happy about that. So anyway, there's all sorts of places to ride. And where you choose to ride depends on what your purpose is. Are you a recreational cyclist? Are you a hardcore cyclist? And there's a middle group that's a utilitarian. One of the things that the collective has done, and we've done it twice, is a sort of one of the little pet projects that I've always wanted to do on a larger scale. I used to ride around with a little bag of tools and a can of spray lube and a pump. And I would just see people riding around on squeaky old bikes, flat tires, whatever. And I'd just stop them and say, hey, can I give you some help here? And just do that and adjust the bikes. And so a couple weeks ago we did a thing downtown. It was designed to be for the people who live under the bridges, the homeless folks or the people who live in camps, and at the Riverfront Y and for the Downtown Neighborhood Association. And we did that. And then Sunday we had a similar sort of thing that was better advertised for the folks at Oak Ridge. And we had people volunteer, and I think they said they worked on 60 different bikes. We went up with about 8 or 9 bikes, new and very nice bikes, that if the bike was on life support and couldn't be saved, we'd just give the kid a new bike. You know, but it's amazing stuff that you can do. So that's another reason. That's a good plug for the collective. You do that kind of stuff, and it's very, very cool. So where you ride your bike, it all depends. You know, how you ride your bike, it all depends. But that was off the gravel roads. Somebody write me a map and throw it to me. But it doesn't matter where you ride, just as long as you're being safe and aware of where you are. Oh, utilitarian, that's what it was. Yeah. Because if you want to ride down Southeast 14 because you want to ride there, or because you're going to go to Hardware Hank or whatever the Home Depot place is, or Menards, whatever, you got a right to do that, and you respect the people who are doing that, because there's some folks, whether it's economic or whether it's a personal lifestyle choice. I've got some friends in Iowa City that don't have cars, and they work at the bike library, or they volunteer at the bike library, and there's a trailer there where you can haul stuff, and he's moved bedroom furniture and sofas on this trail by pulling his bike, and we're going to get one of those, or either build one of those, or buy one for the collective, just to sort of, one, we got to set a good example. Two, when people want to drop off bikes or donate bikes, I feel a lot better about going around and picking it up on a bike than throwing them in my car. I hate driving my car. That's a lifestyle